Hello, everyone. My name is Tim Selvin. I'm from the Montessori Foundation, and this is our weekly webcast for Montessori school leaders and people who are involved in the recruitment of children in Montessori schools or other private schools of all sorts. Today, by the way, we have folks who are from a public charter Montessori school, also part of the group. And with me is my co-host, Clint Lausch. Clint is the founder and director of AIMS, which stands for.
Admissions Inquiry and Marketing Software. You should know that by now, Tim.
I'm working on it. Also trying to get you to change the name.
I know, we're working on it.
School success or recruit those kids. Anyway, we have with us two friends of mine, Erica Grady, who is one of the site directors at a school I know and love very well, Khalsa Montessori School in Phoenix, Arizona. Also is a Montessori charter school. It has a private preschool before public education starts, which is very, very interesting. And they work from toddlers through the sixth grade currently. And we also have with her a parent from Khalsa Montessori School who is very active and involved with the school. And the two of them together are doing something that I thought was really worth sharing. That's Lena Groupman. And Lena and Erica, we're going to turn it over to you and invite you to just tell us what you do and what you've learned.
Awesome. Thank you, Tim. Thank you, Clint. And thank you, everyone out there. So we're excited to share a little bit about what we're doing here at Khalsa. And this has really been a social media journey for us. It's not done, so we'll definitely talk about some of the next steps we're planning to implement, but definitely welcome you to ask questions throughout. Please let us know, and we're happy to do that. So just kind of starting off with this journey, about 3 years ago, we met with the director of the school, and we wanted to really mostly the ask was, let's just get some content out there. We didn't have a lot of pictures or content from Khalsa Montessori that's out there in social media. And so we were really excited to start putting that out there. And then as we went through, we started really refining and making this more integrated throughout the school for parents, for prospective parents, for teachers, for the staff. So we're excited to share a little bit more about that. Anything else you'd like to add, Erica?
No, that's pretty much it. Yeah, when we started it, there was just not really anything posted, or nothing had been posted in a year or more, I think. So a lot of it was just figuring out, like, we have to post something and then figuring out what to post then as we went along.
Exactly. So we really wanted to take a strategic approach to this. So go ahead on to the next page. And so Khalsa Montessori, let's give you a little bit of background. Tim started giving you a little bit of that, but we are a private and a public charter school. And this actually has become part of our new website redevelopment as well. So lots of different things keep coming up. When it comes to social media, we're really trying to take a very broad approach and see how this can inspire us to enhance different elements of our website and our newsletters and just everything we're doing to have a really cohesive approach to this. So again, our programs, toddler, primary and kindergarten, and elementary. It's a unique school that's been around for over 50 years. And as a parent, I know Erica also has the dual role of parent. It's just really an incredible community that's really strong, really integrated. And so one of our goals was, how can we, through social media, help really connect our parents and teachers, as well as inspiring prospective parents to kind of get to know who we are out there on social media, which helps improve admissions, helps get the word out. And so a little bit more about our school. There's 8 different classrooms. We actually have 3 different campuses. So I know Erica's sitting over a toddler right now. We have our elementary campus, and then also at Coronado, we have another campus. So how can we bring everyone together when they're sitting in different places? There's 178 students, 10 fantastic teachers, and 40 staff members, as well as a whole team of parent volunteers.
Yes. Oh, I see.
Great.
Yeah, I have birds in the background. Sorry.
Yeah. You got the doves that are talking in the background, right?
Yeah. Yes. yeah, we have diamond doves that are just around the corner, and yeah, they tend to bring a fair amount of noise, of course, when you don't want them to.
I think as long as people know that you're not torturing children, it's okay.
Yeah.
Just the
So,
birds.
so that, you know, basically what you're describing is a typical situation in most schools. They don't have a big communication staff. They haven't been doing a whole lot. Quite often, you know, what you find is either someone is lucky enough to stumble on someone who's a professional, or there's a parent in the school who's either an amateur or someone like Melina who actually has done this for some time as a professional. And between the two of you, Erica, my impression of you is you've got a kind of a really good natural knack for this. And Lena, you've been doing this as a trained professional. And one of the things I was hoping you would share is what do you find works? How do you actually get this done? What do you push out there, and how are you pushing it to your families?
A great question. So when we go on to the next slide, we really needed to start with how are we going to take a strategic approach to this? So really the area of opportunity was our social media. Some of our goals were initially just we need content out there. And what is that content going to look like? We wanted to connect our current community together by being able to share pictures of their kids, have reminder announcements, but then also encourage that new enrollment. So how can we stand out among all the different Montessori schools or all the different charter options that are here in Phoenix to really encourage that new enrollment? And so those target audiences that we're identifying, the current parents and also the prospective parents. And then we wanted to make sure we had lots of photos of students who are working, learning, engaging, using those Montessori tools and resources that they have in the classroom. But then also, we wanted to add in that educational component because a lot of people don't understand what a Montessori school is doing. They see their kids doing different works, but what are those? And so we really wanted to add in that educational component. We knew that we had Facebook and Instagram. Those were going to be our primary ways that we wanted to communicate. The great thing is we'll show you how we do all of that, how we plan ahead, how we integrate everything. So we're not working extra hard, but we're working smart. And so thinking about how we're planning all of this, we really wanted to make sure that we were calendarizing and scheduling. And with the partnership with Erica, it's really been very beneficial. We're able to plan a lot of things ahead, make sure things are coordinated, and establishing those expectations for what our communications plan, especially when it comes to social media is super important. So you'll see later that we're starting to do Toddler Tuesday. So if you go out to our Instagram today, you'll see lots of cute pictures of toddlers and what works they're doing. And then on Wednesdays, it's really focusing on primary. Thursdays, we focus on elementary. And that way we're establishing, okay, if you're a toddler parent and you know that you're going to be seeing those cute toddler pictures, you know on Tuesdays you can go out there. And then we figured out what those responsibilities were going to be. Since this cannot be a one-person show, we really needed to make sure that between Erica and I, we were dividing those responsibilities, but then also thinking about what are the responsibilities that we're asking teachers for, because we can't be in the classroom every day. So what are we asking them to do? How is the staff integrating? So everyone's different roles in this really make it work together. And then thinking, as we started putting out this content, we really started thinking about rebranding ourselves a little bit. So having consistent colors. So, and then also as we started reworking the website, Erica works on the newsletters, and we're bringing in all those colors and different elements so that subtly you can see how everything is tying together. It's not just, oh, we got a random thing here and a random thing there. Everything's working together. And then you can really see that highlighted on our social media. So while we have engagement channels that are Facebook and Instagram for social, there are so many other ways. And Erica leads most of these where we have different engagement channels. But we wanted to make sure that when parents especially are getting this information, they get it in different ways because we know that our audience is not going to all digest information the same way. Not everyone's going to be out on Instagram hearting things. We know that some people they just want to go to the website or they're just going to pay attention to email. So how can we make sure that we're getting information across to them and sharing things and also engaging with them?
Yeah, that was one of the, when I started, they just did the newsletter and it went out bi-monthly. And I really thought we needed to send more updates. And so I created a flyer that goes out. In the fall, it usually goes twice a month. In the spring, it goes once a month just because the calendar is busier in the fall with days off and that kind of stuff. Um, and so we created a monthly flyer. So each campus gets a flyer, either per month or twice a month. And they're all different theme, different whatever, but it has the same information. There's always PTO events. There's always reminders about events coming up, or right now it was a reminder to do your contracts for next year, and that summer enrollment is still ongoing. The primary and elementary campuses have an open house, so it reminds them about that. And then there's always like upcoming dates, and I usually just stick to the month. Maybe there's like one day, it has like the first 11:30 day in May right now on the April flyer. And then, sorry, we have lots happening here. People coming in, people leaving. And then it also, I ask all of the teachers for a couple topics for them. So in toddler and primary, I ask both classrooms to give me a couple of topics. They usually give me 3 to 4. Primary does that. Elementary, since all of the like the lower elementary classrooms are all doing the same thing, they usually just group give me a topic. But so that way each one is personalized, but it's all very similar information. And that way it's kind of easier to, like, if you need to print it, if you need to look at it on your phone, that's fine. I also started a Google Calendar. And so it's shared with all of the parents who do have to subscribe to it, but it always has all the days off, all the PTO events, all the other events, because a lot of people were struggling for, like, I don't know, like, I'm trying to keep track of all 3 campuses and what was happening, and all the days off are the same, but people were having to individually go put it into their calendars, like looking at the PDF version that we give them and having to go write in all the days off for the school year. And so I have simplified it by just making one. And then I remind parents every year at school start that, like, they have to subscribe to the calendar. And then we ended up, it went so well, honestly, we did a staff calendar. And so then I have gone and made all of our staff sign up for the staff calendar. And that way people's days off are on there, people's birthdays are on there. And it just makes it easier. It just goes right to your phone. If you've already subscribed to it, you don't have to go looking around and try to figure out, was today an 11:30 day, or is it tomorrow, or when's spring break? And I already have the 25-26 school year calendar in there. So if people wanted to plan for next winter break or next spring break, they could do that already because it's already out there and in their phones.
One of my favorite tools. As a parent, I love it. I love being able to see all the things and then add when I need to know everything. It's like right there. And I think, so we can go ahead and show some of the social media content that we've done. So we have a lot of different examples. So we have our Facebook page and our Instagram. I think our Instagram is really our popular one at the moment. Something we're looking forward to, because we've really spent the past few years just developing this content. We're going to get a little bit more nitty gritty with the analytics. We've set some goals, but we're going to start really diving in a little bit more there. But this is just some examples. So last Friday, some examples that we have from our Facebook page, and then also from our web. So this is actually a screenshot from our website of our Instagram, because we love getting all of the current pictures there, because we know that updating the website isn't going to be something that we can do every single day. So you can get all these cute pictures. And this was from our petting zoo. So we love the petting zoo, especially with our toddlers. And then moving on to show some other examples. So you can kind of start to see how we have this color. So we went with the gold is really the toddler, and we have the little seeds. So when you're scrolling through, it kind of subliminally, and hopefully you're able to see, hey, I'm looking for toddler. You can look for the gold, you can look for the little seeds. And then with primary, which we'll show you in a moment, you can see the sprout. And then in elementary, you'll be able to see, further ahead, you'll see the plants. And so by being able to kind of pre-schedule these and know that we need to have content for each of these 3 days, it's really helped us take that responsibility to another level. But then also adding in this little bit of educational part, because especially as a toddler parent, you might be like, okay, why are they doing this? what is the benefit? And so this gives us a little bit more information. We're going to start taking it to the next level with some video. So we do have some new next steps that we'd like to do. But this just gives you a nice area of like, okay, these are all the kids doing their work. And then in primary, we have this nice teal color so that people are able to see what it is. And then also giving some examples of what this work is, why it's beneficial in a nutshell, because we know that even though we're putting this in the text of the post, some people don't read that part. They read it in a picture. But we want to make sure for any of our visually impaired users, they're also getting that in the text. So multiple ways. We can go to the next one, show some more examples. And you might be wondering, where are we getting all these pictures from? And so one of the great things is that we started using Transparent Classroom at Khalsa. And this is actually an incredible tool. So the teachers are the ones responsible for taking the pictures, tagging the student, and then also they're able to tag what that work is. So that way, all parents are going to get everything from their kid. But we know that some parents don't want their children to be out on social media. So we have an example in the future of our consent form. So that way we can cross-reference every kid who's tagged appropriately by the teacher. We can add in what that type of work is and then make sure, are they allowed to be on social media or not? And so here's an example from elementary, because I'm sure if you walked into the classroom in elementary, you'd be like, what are they doing? What are all these hands-on works? And so this really helps the parents to learn a little bit more about what their kids are doing, or what their prospective kids could be doing.
So in addition to doing photos of the kids doing work, I also do any of the flyers. I usually create all of the flyers that we send out to parents, and then I usually do a social media post of the same variety. Like I was talking about with the flyers, I always do a post for like this Friday, upcoming Friday is an 11:30 release. And I always match whatever goes on social media to the flyer. So the April flyer the theme is Earth Day. And so that is, the Earth is hiding behind the 11:30 release there, and all the hands are around it, so you can't see the Earth. But it's the same color, so you can kind of match that, like, this is in April and the flyer went out in April. And I always do, for holidays that we're closed for, I always do the background is whatever theme of like Indigenous Peoples Day. I did 2 examples of like parent flyers that we do, inviting people to, we always do like an intro to the program for new parents for each level. And then we always do all parent evening is kind of like our back to school night. Or we also do a presentation. Last year I did a slideshow for both the intro and the all parent evening, and they all matched the theme. I'm very color coded and theme heavy. We also do for like open houses. We have a primary open house this week. We have an elementary one next week. I did an example of a PTO flyer that I did. Our PTO, truth be told, is not great at doing its own marketing. So Alina and I have helped a lot to make them dine out flyers or just event flyers, or to just help promote. They don't have their own social media. They do have a website, and they have a parent volunteer that helps them update the website. But in order to update it, they have to communicate. And sometimes that's where we just fall a little flat. So anything that I could do to help them out. I think actually the Sky Zone fundraiser, Sky Zone made them a flyer that was quite awful. And I was like, nah, we're going to make a better one. And so that's what we did. I also do a calendar for each month. That calendar goes in our newsletter. Since our newsletter goes every other month, it always has 2 calendars in it. And then I will also post it on social media. So it looks the same, whether you saw it in the newsletter or you see it on our Instagram. And I always pin it to the top of our Instagram for that month so that you can kind of go look. It isn't always the most up to date. Sometimes last minute changes happen. So the Google Calendar is always more up to date. But if you couldn't remember like there was testing or when the board meeting is for the month, you could go and look at social media and look at the calendars there as well. And this is just a couple screenshots of my Canva. I know Alina has her own as well, but I use it for everything. And so there are just years worth of stuff in there. There's the copies of the newsletter. I send birthday announcements to everybody that has a birthday, staff and the toddler kids. They all get a birthday email on their birthday. We just had somebody that had a baby. So I sent them a congrats on their baby. So that's in there also. And then here's our Facebook planner. So you can plan a month in advance on Facebook. I, in general, any day off, any event coming up, I do my best to post it 2 weeks in advance so that I can remind people several times. Anything that gets posted on our Instagram, I always share it as a story, and it automatically shares to our Facebook story as well. So I can do multiple reminders. I think sometimes people go scrolling through Instagram, sometimes they see stories and that's all that they see. So I share it in both places so people can go look at it or reshare it. We get a lot of reshares from parents that are like, hey, that's my kid. Like, I'll just repost it. Sometimes people share stories from like PTO events and that kind of stuff, and I'll share it on our story also. But that way there's kind of multiple ways to see the same thing. And then here is a little part of our consent form. We have had a consent form, and this year in particular for this school year, I decided to make it very detailed and give lots of, there's lots of options and lots of descriptions because I wanted people to know. I think so many times I've had to reach out to people and be like, did you mean to pick this? Like, you decided that your kid was fine in the yearbook without a name, but they can't be in the yearbook with a name. And that means I can't post their picture day picture with their name. And I think sometimes just people didn't understand what they were picking. And they're just like, sure, yeah, no, I don't know, whatever. And so I really wanted people to know what they were saying yes or no to. And that way I made lots of options. I don't know that it's in here, but like you can be on social media with their face. You can be on social media without their face. I, as a parent, don't let my daughter's face be shown on a public social media. But if her face is covered or it's the side of her face, I don't care. We have something on our social media that there's like a plant in front of her face. Like, you wouldn't know it was her. I know it's her, but other people wouldn't. And I'm fine with that. We also, this year, our school photographer communicated directly with parents. And so we had to ask that it was fine that we shared their email and what email was best to do it. So that was in our consent. But there are like, the newsletters don't get sent out. They're password protected on the website. They don't get sent out to prospective parents. But what I do is send the flyers that I create for every month. I send them to our waitlist families also so that they know what's happening in our school and they could be like, hey, yep, that seems like somewhere I would like to be a part of. Or no, I don't really want to do that. And then also if they're on the wait list, but they want to come support the PTO at the dine out, they can do that. But we don't send out our kids' photos to random strangers unless you okay it on social media. But like same with the holiday program, like you could be in the slideshow for the holiday program, and in general, it's everybody's families, like just families and friends come to the holiday program. There aren't people just walking in off the street to the also holiday program. But you kind of need to know what you're signing up for because you're giving consent to let us use your kid for or not use your kid. But it's important to know kind of what you're saying yes or no to.
And I think what's been really beneficial about this, as Erica mentioned, she was breaking down, can we use your kid's face on social media? Can we use their picture on social media, but their face, maybe it's their back, maybe it's their side. And so what we'll do is we ask all of the teachers to take pictures. I mentioned this a little bit before. So all of our teachers are taking pictures, uploading them to Transparent Classroom. And that way, every parent is still getting their kids' work. So they're getting the pictures. So everyone still gets that. And the great thing is whether it's a little bit time intensive, but then once we're looking through Transparent Classroom, we can pick out all the pictures that look good, the ones that we want to highlight from the different programs, cross-reference them on the Excel spreadsheet, which then says which ones can we use, which ones can't we use. And then we're able to take those, put them into Canva, which is really great, make the fun pictures, and then go into the meta part, upload them and schedule them. So like Erica, I work like the 30-day, I think it's 29 days out. So I work those days out. That way they can all be scheduled. And so really it's a little bit intensive for like a week or two, get them scheduled, and then you have a little bit of time off. But I think all of those steps that we do make parents know they feel comfortable. They're able to share those pictures if they want to, or just know, you know what, I'm just going to get my kids in Transparent Classroom and I'm good. So we're trying to meet parents in different ways, but also then inspire those prospective parents to join our CALSA community. And we just have one more page for you. So this is kind of some of our next steps, because again, this is a journey. This is a work in progress. We're really going to start diving into our analytics now that we have that content out there. We've been letting parents know we have it. So, you know, directly, we want to increase that engagement. Let's get some more comments, some more reposts, different things. But then also, how is this going to affect or implement or increase our enrollment? So we're also looking on how we can take that educational content of Montessori to the next level. So we have some spiral curriculum examples. We want to start really showing people what this journey for their student is going to be from toddler to primary to lower elementary to upper elementary, and how that all works together. Some of the teachers have even volunteered, do you want me to do some sample lessons, like 30 seconds, and we can start putting things like that out there, or students giving lessons to other students. We've been talking about our testimonials a lot this year. So we started adding some written ones to our website, but how can we start putting a few more testimonials out there in our social media? We're also going to get some drone footage of classrooms, which I think is going to be really fun. Because who does, like, you want to see the classroom and you want to see it in action, especially if you are not sure, is this the right school for my kid? That's just going to give you another taste of it in addition to going on a tour. And so we also want to really add a lot more about what makes CALSA Montessori School unique, different in Phoenix. How are we standing out among all the other school options that are out there? Our petting zoo, of course, as Erica's shown and mentioned, like, it's just something that's different. And so we want to really be able to highlight different things like that, our extended care and summer programs, things that parents are really looking towards. So this is kind of where we're starting to look at as we move into the next year, but we meet every 2 weeks to regroup with the head of the school, with the admin team, and myself, just to make sure we're all staying on the same page and moving forward in the same direction.
Yeah, I drafted some other parents to help with the website. So yeah, we just got a new website. We showed it at the beginning. But our website was very like 80s and 90s style, and it just my other one of the other admin, Lavender, her and I are, yeah, we both wanted to update it and both struggled to how do we do that. And so I found some toddler parents that is what they do, and they have helped so much and volunteered their time to update our website, and we're going to keep updating the content on it and kind of getting rid of stuff that we don't need anymore. And they know a lot more about analytics and search engine optimization and just all of that kind of stuff that is just a little beyond me. And so they have helped a lot. And so then, yeah, some of that is to update. Our tour video right now is from COVID days. And so to try to update that and give that a refresh. And we have already updated the pictures on the website, because again, a lot of those were from just different classrooms, or those kids that were pictured at toddler are now in elementary. And so then just also being on top of updating pictures and updating information on the website so that it is current, and that it's also just not so time consuming to update it. If it's the same information's on 5 pages, how do we get that just to 1 page so that you don't have to go look at all the other places that that information might be. You can just update it in the one spot, and that parents can find it also, because what makes sense to one person doesn't necessarily make sense to another person. And so how do you make it make sense so that everybody can find the spot to sign up for a tour, or find the spot to enroll their kid, or the steps to enroll their kid, or whatever it is that they're looking for.
That is just great. Thanks. You may want to stop sharing the slideshow and we'll just chat for a few minutes to wrap up. Again, I mean, this is such a great case study. Again, you've got an unusual situation in that you've got a charter school. It has a very specific educational approach, Montessori. There's a private preschool, so people have to pay tuition if they want to start at the age where ideally children start at Montessori, which would be toddlers or age 3 or maybe 4. They can have half-day kindergarten paid for by the state, but there isn't a guarantee, as I understand it, that children who are currently in the private preschool will get into the charter kindergarten and above program. Once they're in, then they're in for the rest of the journey if they wish, and I believe other children in the family are in. But this is just an unusual situation because you're competing against other charter schools, Montessori or otherwise, and there are other Montessori. You've got a lot of schools around you in downtown Phoenix. So there's competition that's other charter schools. There's competition that is public Montessori schools, as well as other non-Montessori charter schools, big school of the arts and so forth. And you've got private schools. So your challenge of having to do the most that you can with what you've got is a great story. And I just really appreciate what I learned that you were all doing. I'm so glad that 2 of you were willing and able to come and be with us. Looks like we lost Erica for a minute. Alina, you certainly are very articulate. Erica, oh, you're there.
Yep, I'm there.
Birds in the background kept messing up your sound, but we really appreciate what you're sharing because it's very, very practical and specific. Clint, as someone who has done this as a consultant and a specialist in this field, do you have any observations or thoughts or questions?
Yeah, I had a couple questions. One is how many times are you posting per day?
A lot. So we can definitely pull that. I'm trying to get 7 to 8 posts for toddler, 7 to 8 for primary, 7 to 8 for elementary. And then Erica's probably doing about 7 to 8 like every 2 weeks when it comes to like all the reminders and different things. So we're trying to get a lot of content out there. And then if we have things like the petting zoo, we'll just have that as like a special standalone day and just be like, here's 10 pictures. At the moment, we're trying to do 1 picture and then 1 example of like what is this work, having those kind of stand alone, and then lots of just individual pictures so people can share them. So we're trying to take that approach.
I think that's amazing. You know, because I always talk with schools, it's like, hey, goal is you get 1 a day. Try to get 1 a day up. You know, usually that's like the big goal to shoot for. So the fact that you're doing obviously 7 to 8 or more is fantastic and a testament to, you know, what everything you went through and doing all that planning. Because I think, and then for anybody watching this, you know, obviously as a recording, being able to kind of plan that content. I feel like a lot of schools get into that, and maybe you could speak on this if you ever felt like a lot of schools I talk to get into the, okay, what happened today? I have to post what happened today. It always kind of feels like you're on that treadmill of like, what happened today or yesterday, and I got to post that, and not really having what I like to call like that evergreen type of content that you could post all year round, right? It doesn't matter whether you post that in April or July, it still applies. Did you ever find yourself kind of in that, I don't want to say, you know, that almost like that hamster wheel effect of constantly posting what's happening today, and then yeah, how yeah, maybe you could speak again to just like that, how planning out that evergreen, and maybe how much does that make up of what you do versus like what's happening right now?
Yeah, I have a few thoughts on that. I think for an example, we do a lot of like we do like a costume parade for Halloween and like a pumpkins and different like there's a couple different annual things that happen at different school at the different campuses that we do want to get one picture out right away because it does feel timely. It's like, hey, here they are going to get their pumpkins, washing their pumpkins. You want to do that. But a lot of other things these are works that they are doing every single day. So trying to separate it into that mindset of like, we have to post this right away because I need to respect the teachers. They're going to take the pictures, they're going to upload. That's how I'm getting that content. So I know that the important part for them is to be teaching the students. So I'd love to get those pictures right away, but I also want to respect the fact that they have their environment, they're going to have their own schedule of uploading those. And in terms of the evergreen effect, it really is, this is something we're doing all the time. I think to individualize it and separate it into, oh, on Mondays, they always do this. It's like, you know what? They're doing this, they're learning, they're like engaging with each other. And I think just having those posts go out and scheduled just really helps all of us. I think that I try if kids are wearing winter coats, we only have like 1 month of winter here. So I'm gonna try and post those right away and make it look a little bit like it's fit together. I think the benefit of having the whole month to plan and schedule these posts really helps because then we know how can we separate some of this content? Because if we're just having like food prep in all of the campuses and all of a sudden we're just doing food prep, it's going to look weird. So we're able to like sprinkle that around and spread that out. As also with the diversity of which students we're, showing. So it's not the same kid on the same day because they're the ones who I got a bunch of good photos for and I can post them. So I think it's really thinking strategically about where you're putting them. I think that's a few things we want to do right away. But otherwise, they're always learning and they're always in the classroom, and that's what we want to really highlight.
So
Yeah,
like,
I also will kind of do. We had the petting zoo here 2 Fridays ago at Toddler, and I took a couple pictures of animals and I just put them on our story and thanked the petting zoo and tagged them in it and said thanks for coming. And so, like, you can do stuff like that, but it's just like a picture, and it doesn't even have to involve the kids, but to kind of let people know that, like, this is what we're doing right now. And then you'll see maybe some more content of it later.
And Tim, I have one other question, but Tim, fire away.
I was just gonna ask Eric and Alina, how many hours a week do you think you spend on this work?
It's a good
Mm.
question. I was thinking about it. Go ahead, Erica.
It kind of depends. I mean, like, I have our Instagram on my phone, so like a couple of times a day I will go look and like share the posts because Alina schedules them out, so they kind of go every hour. So I'll wait till we have 2 or 3, and then I might go share some. I might go back and look, and like the primary open house is Thursday, so I'm probably going to do a reminder today, and then maybe a reminder tomorrow that it's Thursday, or I might do one later today so it's still up tomorrow morning, and then remind people on Thursday morning again. Same with like we have an 11:30 release on Friday, so I'll go reshare that one several times, and then I'll just put some graphics on it like, hey, mark your calendars or remember like it's today. So I'll do that stuff for different events and things.
I try and be as efficient as possible. So I'm kind of thinking about this as like a month. It's probably about 15 to 20 hours of time to get all these posts in about a month. I try and do it so it's kind of like 1 week might be a little heavier because I'm going in, I'm downloading all the pictures from Transparent Classroom because we have the 8 different classrooms. I'm cross-referencing which ones can I use, and then going into Canva, developing those posts because we want to make sure that we're kind of tagging Carlson Montessori and then also adding in whether this is toddler, primary, or elementary, and then adding in the educational posts. Once I kind of have most of those done, then I go into like our Meta Planner and Facebook, schedule them all out so that they're all planned that way. So a lot of times it'll be like a week or two where it's like heavy, and then I kind of schedule it so that then I can take like 2 weeks more off, I guess, if you will, unless there's something that comes in, like sometimes they'll do drop everything and read day. So again, Clint, to your earlier point, I'm like, oh, let's get this out right away. So it'll be kind of those quick hits, but having it all scheduled ahead of time and the bulk of the work done makes it easy to do those one-off hits that we need.
It's
Yeah, and I check on our social media, I don't know, depends on the day, but like sometimes a couple times a day, sometimes maybe just once a day. If parents comment, I always try to like them. If people share stuff, I always try to reshare it. On our Facebook page, like our cover photo, I always update that to like the most recent events. So right now it's Friday's 11:30 release. Sometimes it'll be a PTO event. We do have a couple of just plain ones, like if nothing is happening. But I try to update those with like the newest thing that's happening. So it's not always, I'm not on it for like a ton of time, but I might just go make sure if, what likes we have, what comments we have, what shares we have, that kind of stuff. Even during spring break, I'll go sometimes on the weekends. I pay attention better than others. It depends on what I have going on, but I know the dine out for the PTO was Saturday, and I think I shared it Friday night, but I didn't do anything Saturday. And so, yeah, I don't know that I have an actual time. I just try to do little bits at a time so that I'm not staring at my phone for an hour, but I can just go do 15 minutes here and then come back a couple hours later and do 15 minutes and that kind of stuff.
When a question about analytics and really who you're reaching, have you noticed maybe over the past year or so? Yeah, let me take a step back. When you think about social media, for a long time it was like we create social media content for current families because those are your followers, so a certain percentage will see them every time you make a post. But with a lot of algorithm changes and how Facebook and Instagram are working these days, there is opportunity to reach prospective families now that might just discover you. Just out of curiosity to know if you've seen anything in your own data about reaching prospective families, if certain types of posts, videos versus statics, reaching perspective. Just didn't know if you had any insight or thoughts on social media for perspective and not just current.
Instagram is definitely one that when we're looking at the analytics, it's much better. Facebook has not been doing as well. We do get a lot of likes and reposts, I think, to Erica's earlier point on especially Instagram. We try and check who's doing this. I know Erica does a lot more of this. Like, who are these people who are now following us? And we do have, I think, over 500 followers now on Instagram. So things are really much better. And it's not just like current families, because that would be way more families than we have. And so we're starting to see a little bit more of that. I think indirectly, it'll be great to see how our enrollment's going. And when we ask parents, hey, how did you hear about us? We're really hoping that they say, oh, we saw your post on social media. Waiting to hear that one, but we'll get that.
Yeah, I haven't seen it yet on any of the wait lists. We do have some more Google coming through. We do some Google ads. Since I also do admissions, I do notice that yes, when we do get new followers, I have noticed it is some of our waitlist families coming to find us. I did a reel for our re-enrollment and our summer registration, and those I know right now Instagram is prioritizing, so those did get a lot more views than we get on regular posts. But it does seem that sharing them on stories does kind of get us some more views for things. We probably have about 100 families, and some of them have gotten 150, 180 views, so that can't be. There has to be some new people on top of the people that are checking
And
and
our
looking
moms.
at it. Yes.
So that's definitely something we're prioritizing, is kind of looking through, because especially as we look at our website analytics, this is an area that's really been on our radars that we want to dive in a little bit deeper, because we can set some goals in the Facebook planner, which has been really helpful. So we're trying to increase our reach. And we're already almost at our reach for the month, and we just set the goal a couple days ago. So we're feeling pretty good with Instagram. Again, the Facebook, I'm looking at that right now, and we're reaching not very many. So I just think that different users, and we're trying to figure out, okay, who are our prospective families? Because it's not going to be the kids that are out there looking. So we're trying to kind of identify what that's going to look like. And I think that as we kind of figure out, are we pointing people towards our website? Are we just serving as an educational platform? Is it really just about the current families seeing pictures of other kids? Because of course I can just get pictures of my kid at school. And so that's where social has been great to kind of see, oh, look at these other kids interacting. So definitely an area that we'd like to really push forward with. I think we have a meeting tomorrow, Erica, and that's
Mhm.
one of the topics I think we should discuss.
Well, I think you've done a fantastic job on your social. I mean, probably some of the best I've seen of working, talking with so many schools, and whether it's volume, the planning, all of that. So I think a lot of folks can take a lot from this. And then again, thinking about how to, so some of the big takeaways that I heard from this that I hopefully schools can apply, which is not feeling like, it's always on fire to post what happened that day. You could certainly plan out and post, schedule in advance, and what I like to call that evergreen content, and thinking about, okay, how could our content be, yes, for current, but also for perspective. So I think that's great that you're seeing that, and I know it's a big takeaway for a lot of schools now with their social and how they're thinking about the content they put out there. So that's fantastic. Great job.
Indeed, just amazing. So again, I really enjoyed talking to the two of you about this last week. So glad you're able to make time to join us. And I think what you're doing is just an outstanding example of what a school that is not big and wealthy with, administrative staff of 15 to 20 people, you're doing this on a shoestring. And I really, really appreciate what you're doing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So thanks
Clint,
for coming.
Tim, thank you.
Hope lots of other schools will see this video and will reach out to you and say, hey, how can we learn to do that? Because I mean, everything you were talking about, you made it sound so easy. I've said many times, if you're older than 30, there's a good chance you don't know about Canva. There's a good chance you don't know about templates. There's a good chance you don't know about Instagram, or how to do it, or why you do it, or how to schedule it, or for example, what you're doing with your Montessori education, where you take a picture and you're helping the reader to get a sense of what this is all about. It's brilliant. Brilliant. Love it.
Canva, it definitely makes life easy. I just make copies of everything, and so then
Yep.
it all looks the same. Like all the reminders of the days off are the same, and the holiday reminders are the same, and the newsletter fonts are all the same. The flyer fonts are all the same. And that was another part of like the rebrand of trying to use the same fonts and the same colors, and so that it does all look the same, even if you're throwing in a fun holiday theme. That you can
Sure.
kind of tie it all together.
It's like the Coca-Cola and the Ford or Apple. I mean, even the font tells you something about what brand this is. So one thought that I will always give anyone listening is Montessori is one of those lifestyle products. It's something that is not just like your dry cleaner or, whatever. It's a place that if you're into it, if you know, if you're part of it, it tends to be something that really speaks to you deeply, and it's part of your family life. It may not be your family life forever and ever and ever. Alina and Erica, I imagine as your kids grow eventually, your attention will move on to whatever's next. But while you're there, this kind of school tends to really shape a lot of your social life and your family life and your kids' life. And what I appreciate is increasingly we're seeing schools like yours going up through high school, which means that the journey starts at infancy and goes through high school. And boy, then I see the alumni parents, staying in contact with the school 30 years later. But even with a school like yours that stops at 6th grade, I know enough about your particular school to know there are lots of former parents that feel very, very strongly about your school and what you've done. This is true of many Montessori schools, true of many great private schools of all sorts. This is the secret of the private school. And a charter school is a private school. It's a private public school. It's publicly funded, but it's run by a nonprofit, or it could be a for-profit, I suppose, but it's run by a nonprofit entity. It is a school of choice, like a private school. And the only thing that's different between it and, the local prep school is the philosophy, the program, and the fact that the government is helping to fund it. And the fact that there are charter schools that are just as traditional and conventional as the most conservative private school, I don't know that there's a whole lot of difference other than who's paying the bills and can the school choose the families and can the family apply with any reasonable hope of getting in? Because I know that one of your challenges as parents is you can be on the waiting list and you may or you may not get in. And so a lot of charter schools struggle with the fact that families will try something for a couple of years and they'll move on to something else. So creating community in your school is really important. And I think you're doing a great job.
Thank you.
Yeah, I agree. I always I think particularly because I work in the toddler building, I think I always kind of push for like, yeah, you have to get them at toddler and then keep them all the way through. That is something I have told our PTO so many times. Like, you have to stop planning events for just elementary school kids because you're never going to get the elementary parents they're there for the shortest amount of time. So if you want somebody to come volunteer and help, then you're going to have to start looking at the toddler parents and making it toddler accessible, because they're not going to come. Like, our PTO meetings are currently Tuesday at 6 p.m. and it's just a terrible time for toddler parents. And so you're not going to get any involvement in that age group that then will carry you for 10 years down till they leave upper elementary. And so I think, yeah, you have to I think it's easier to look at like the older kids and that kind of stuff, where there is, I don't know that there's less competition at any age group, but I just think it's important to always kind of look at your smallest one, because in theory, they're gonna stay with you then for longer.
That's great. Well, it's probably a good note to end on, unless Lena or Clint, you have anything else to add. But I think this has been a great session.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lena. Really appreciate it. Look forward to seeing you again soon. Same with our friend Erica, who's taking a phone call. Gotta answer those phones. That's the secret, within 3 rings. Clint, any last words from you, sir?
No, I was saying that was great. I really appreciate the time. I think, like I said, so many schools there's so many great nuggets of things that schools could take away. I always say, just try to take one away. And, if I had to pick one of the many, it would be, how do we do better planning of our content so that you can post more and not, everybody's wearing multiple hats, so you can get the volume of content. The volume is really the name of the game these days with social, and do it in a way where you're not killing yourself every single week and, feeling like you're, everything's on fire. So I thought that was a huge takeaway.
I should say in closing that this webinar is brought to you every week by 2 separate organizations that do a lot of work together and become very good friends. Clint runs, and I'll speak for him, a company that has both a software solution and expertise and a structure to help schools recruit and retain great families through both paid and unpaid marketing strategies. And I've worked with a lot of companies over the years and seen just about everything that's out there. And I've used all kinds of software from HubSpot and Fusionsoft and so forth. What you're doing, Clint, the value proposition of what you do, and the fact that you come from the private school world and you really understand that one niche, I really have profound respect for what you bring to schools like Khalsa. And I think Khalsa is either using AIMS or is considering using AIMS.
In the considering phase, we'll see.
Okay. And the Montessori Foundation is a group, a nonprofit that was organized to support, nurture, encourage the development of strong Montessori schools, big ones, small ones, public, private, charter, for-profit, nonprofit, from infancy through 12th grade, where I'm on the board of trustees of the first official Montessori university. And the Montessori Foundation, among other things, tries to do the very thing that I see Eric and Alina doing. We try to help schools communicate with parents, help them to understand that Montessori works, why it works, answer their questions in a way that doesn't turn them off and make them feel like they're being pressured to drink the Kool-Aid. And it helps them to feel like it's safe to continue the Montessori journey for a long time, if not all the way through. So we're school consultants, we're parent advocates, parent educators, and we happen to also have been friends and consultants, mentors to the school that Erica and Alina are involved with for a long time, about 30 years now. So I do go out there periodically, and I have a great fondness for the work that you and the people of your school do. You're a great place. Thanks so much for making your time, Erica and Alina. Really glad to have you with us. And Clint,
All right.
you
Thanks,
and I
everybody.
will let everyone know what's coming up next week.
Yep, email to come.
Email to come, otherwise known as, we ran through our list of pre-planned topics for the spring. So we need to develop the next.
Next, yeah, the next set of topics. So we went through like 20 some of them. So it's crazy we went through those already.
We've been doing this for about a half year now. It's been lots of fun. So again, if you want to learn more about Ames, you can go to the Ames website, which is
Getames.co.
so Ames, AIMS.co, getames.co, or the Montessori Foundation is Montessori, do I need to spell it? .org. We are here to help. We'd love to hear from people. Please feel free to comment, like, subscribe. Let us know if there's anything we can do, or we're happy to respond to your questions. Or if you need a hand, we're here to help. So we're glad to call you back. We'll see you all next week. And thank you again, Alina. Thank you again, Erica. We'll see you soon.
Take care. Tim, do you have